Okay, hey everybody, back at you again with today's sketch card being Wolverine. Um, just gonna hang out here for a little bit and sketch this one up and knock it out. Of course, as you can tell, it's in my unique style. So hope you dig it, and we're gonna go from there. Hey Richard, thanks for checking it out, man. I appreciate it. These cards are a little grainier than what I'm used to with the comic book paper, so I've got to be careful not to grind into it too much. That's why I'm using the straight edge here, so it doesn't get fuzzy or, hairy. So, yeah, he's one of my favorites too. Since Fox owns majority rights to the character right now, though, I've noticed Disney is doing a lot through Marvel to adjust the character into their own incarnation, like they've pretty much done everything else through the Avengers line right now. And the latest thing I saw in the news just on Thursday, I believe it was, CBR. I mean, as far as you can take the news post that they do press releases on and whatnot, Marvel says all the time, well, we did that, but we changed our minds, and they released it early, or there was a misunderstanding, or something like that all the time. But they released a press release from Disney and Marvel saying that they were going to introduce the ultimate rendition of the character for the original storyline that he has, in comparison, so that they could do something with Old Man Logan now that Fox did their thing with the movie Logan and whatnot. So there's a little controversy going on there. We'll see what happens with it. I mean, it is what it is. But as far as the character goes, I really dig him. He's phenomenal. But he's really a character you can get behind with a lot of different opportunities in story and just appeal and everything. And he's the ultimate Marvel mystery man too, though. I mean, even though they've given out his origin, he's still one of the most blacklisted characters as far as stories go, because you never know what they're going to twist up next with this guy. So Yeah. Yeah, he's Canadian. Hey, Mike. You know, I don't really like the new Wolverine concept. I mean, I think it's great that they're evolving him and whatnot, you know, evolving the series for Disney. But the problem with that is that, you know, between the Fox incarnation as well as the Disney incarnation, I'm not digging it either way. I liked her better as Wild Thing rather than going into the Wolverine adaptation. It's just strange that she would take up that mantle, you know, and that character is just like really, really intense anyway. So. But spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Logan yet, plug your ears for about 10 seconds. You know, since he died and they killed him off on screen and Jackman's version is dead and he said he won't come back until, or is rumored to said that he won't come back until, you know, he can get into the Avengers franchise or spin off into a Disney Fox combo movie to where he can come back as a cash cow Wolverine. We'll see what happens with it. I mean, I don't know, but as far as that Wild Thing character really taking off, it just hasn't done it for me yet. I'm hoping maybe one day it will, but we'll see. Sorry if I ruined it for you. I did say a heads up. So. I'm using these for markers where to put the lines later, so just don't worry about that. When I ink that, I'll clean that up. But for sake of marking it right now, I'm putting in markers so I can put in the forehead. For the coloring and shading and all that. ahead and black that out. It's doing really well, man. I'm working on issue 4, 5, and 6 right now simultaneously for Catman Evolution. It's working out really well. I decided to go ahead and turn it from a issue-to-issue quarterly series into an ongoing monthly. And 4, 5, and 6 are in production right now. You can get 1, 2, and 3 through FirestormComics.com as well as on Amazon. You can get them through Kindle. And I'm going to be changing up a lot of that here pretty quick because I'm going to be using a different format and whatnot. So watch out for that one too, because that's going to change up really big pretty soon. Thanks for asking about that, Rich. I appreciate it, man. It's been a slow process because I've been doing so much freelance, but it's coming along. So you guys watch out, because this year it's going to be pretty heavy in the next couple of months this summer, and a lot's going to be moving with it. So yeah, I've got Catman Evolution and a couple of other titles coming out through Firestorm, and it's gotten pretty heavy lately. Lots and lots of stuff going on. Matter of fact, you'll see the first part of that coming out next week. So keep an eye out for it. My new blog starts on Monday, so it'll be cool. I know I'm going to do a no-no here and change directions. Shame on me. But since I'm inking this, it's okay. And I don't want to completely dig into this card with blacking this out 100%. And I actually do love these card stocks. It's just standard blank index card that you can get at like Walmart or, you know, the dollar store or whatever. I just found a couple of packs of index cards and started digging on them, and it was just like, yeah, I can do this. Cool. I like the texture of them. I like the feel of them. It's just got to be careful to not tear them up in the process. So leave that open. It's starting to look like him a little bit. And you know, I always thought that they didn't shave down the dome on his head was a good thing when they would let that open, you know, and leave him with a high head like this. And the reason I went with a full scale head instead of doing the typical oval, you know, Captain Picard thing is because that hair's got to go somewhere, right? So I always thought that was just funny. When people would draw him like that and just pack it down, and it's just like, really? Where does all that hair go? Because when he comes undone, it's just, it springs out on you and it's just everywhere. I mean, even Jackman got quite a massive do going there for a while. It was getting pretty big, so I sketched pretty heavy on this one when I laid it out. I'm going to have to clean all of that up. Normally I don't sketch down that hard, but I wanted to get it right. I know, get my big hand out of the way, right? You know, I got a lot of flack for doing this one like this. With the knuckles. I designed the knuckles like a diamond shape, as you can see that line right there, and then the cross point, and then I kind of make it like an off rectangular kite, and I get griped at a lot from people over that one because of the fact that it comes out and it's like, your knuckles look like Kirby's knees. Well, the reason is because I learned to draw when I was a kid from looking at the old Kirby stuff, and that's the way it, you know, his knees are squiggles, like Todd McFarlane, you know, used to say all the time. But they're consistent, though. You know, I was a big fan of Walt Simonson, and Art Adams used to do this, and this is just something I started doing here recently. Is I box out the knuckle with that kneecap look, and then come down underneath it and add that shade right in here to one side of it, and it really pops it off. So, and if nothing else, it just gives it that ridge to work from. So it adds a nice contrast that I really dig. So that's one of the things I like to do when I do that. And then I round out the knuckles here like that. And I didn't draw this in the original sketch, but I'll go ahead and flesh this out and draw in this other collarbone here. Lead out the pec that way. But yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, man. I study Kirby stuff till this very day. He's still one of my biggest influences. Um, the dynamic stuff of his work is just phenomenal. No matter what you think of his personal style, um, his compositions are still some of the best in comics, even today. If most artists would draw with his style of composition, they would have a way better results than what most of us are getting. But then again, it's personal opinion, and uh, that's neither here nor there. So, and one thing I always loved about the Wolverine gloves is the old school gloves always had that leather look, because he would put in that little marker right there. A lot of the old school guys used to put in that little seam for the thumb, and it would just make it pop off like no tomorrow. Finessing that corner just a little bit off the edge there so that I don't tear up the card. Okay. Another thing I get into issues with is I use composite lights. I have special lamps all over my table, and I use they're pretty much just desk lamps, but they're special lamps to me because I have different lighting sources coming in from, like, the forehead over here. I'll have a light come down here. I'll have another light come in, at this angle for the glove, where it would be sticking out, beyond his shoulder and stuff. The light comes in over here and from the top of his head in the back, and then you got another light coming in from this direction, so you got the spot right there. It's just little things like that that really make it pop out in a diverse angle, and I really, really dig doing that because it messes with people's heads. It's like, where's the light source? But yeah, I do that quite a bit. I play Havoc on fabrics too, big time. I love to cause issue because people say, well, this fabric's supposed to be shiny or this one isn't, or this one is supposed to be shiny or this one isn't, and I think about it from the perspective of what I want the character to look like. If I want him to hide in shadows, I don't have him pop out of shiny areas with light all over him. I just don't. I'll go dull instead, and that's something that a lot of artists don't do because they say, well, you got to render it to where it'll shine and show up. And no, you don't. Yes, you got to render it where people can see it, but you don't necessarily have to make it pop out in the light. And I'm going with the old school silicone knobs here that Wolverine used to have all the time to hold the claw ports open constantly, and they don't do that anymore. Now they just draw them where they pop out of his gloves, at random, and it's just like, really? But to each their own. I always thought these were cool when I was a kid, and that's why I do them now. To me, it's just part of the essential Wolverine character, so I am one to put them on there. So that is going to be my take on Wolverine. Now, one thing I do like to do here is I like to put in those little head seams like this to make that mask just a little more modern and a little more detailed. To ridge it out just a little bit. And some artists do this one. I do it just to drive people crazy, but some artists like to do that one right across the top there. I won't do that in the final because like I said, I just do it to drive people crazy. But yeah, we're going to leave him alone just like that. If you're ever drawing the character and you find yourself wanting to do stubble like this, be sure that you study the way your anatomy is supposed to go, because people they'll put in tons of hair and they'll put it all in right here, but generally in a man's face there's a couple of blind spots, like right here in the lip between where the soul patch would be and the chin starts down here, and that mustache overgrowth for like the handlebar. There's that little patch on either side right there. It doesn't get hair on most men. Like for me, for example, that's a very clean patch. And you got to think about that kind of stuff when you're doing these things. I know a lot of guys that'll go in there and just kill it. So you got to watch out for that kind of stuff. And some people complain about me drawing it way up here, up high like that. And it's like, it's underneath the cheekbone. You're going to put hair at his eye. Sometimes that has something going on as well. That's all right, man. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. I appreciate you stopping by. Alright, cool deal. Now I'm going to put in the shoulder, that shoulder armor right there, and start that off as the last step for this one. Because I'm pushing 35 minutes here. I want to make sure that you guys are on your way. Thank you for coming on. This is going to be our Wolverine. I haven't decided if I'm going to wrap that back yet, or if I'm going to go ahead and put that shoulder in there. You know what? Let's do it just for fun real quick. I'll put that shoulder in there just because we can. Just going to seam it just a little bit, because it'll give off that shoulder armor really nicely right there. I had somebody complain this morning because they wanted me to draw with the signature stogie in his mouth, the cigar and whatnot. And I was like, I don't think so, but that's okay, because that's just one of those things. Well, why didn't you do it? Well, I'm sorry, I didn't think about it. When I sketched it, I didn't think about it, and I don't want to mess up what I've already got laid out. So you could rework it. Yes. Yeah, I appreciate Rich coming on and pointing out the Catman Evolution series. You guys can check that out. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with that in the next coming weeks, because 4, 5, and 6 are coming out back-to-back monthly, like I said. So that's going to be awesome. With that book and Lone Rider coming out side by side, it's going to be pretty cool. It's got me hopping pretty busy, since I'm doing the penciling and inking on that now, as I took it over from my original artist on it, Jorge, which had to go off to another project because he completed the contract. And now I've got to go in and take care of that. So it's all good. It's coming along great. Okay, so there we have it. That's going to be my incarnation of Wolverine. So, hope you dig it. Thank you very much for you guys coming on and hanging out with me. I'll ink this and color it like I always do, and post it shortly. The next one tomorrow is going to be the last of this 12 before phase 2 of the next set coming up the following day on Monday. This is the Hulk. That's going to be my incarnation, just smashing through a wall kind of thing. I hope you guys join me for that too. And just to give you a little quick recap here, first time I want to do this on the video. We've got Wolverine right here, which is today's. Then we've got Venom. We've got Iron Man, Punisher, Green Goblin, Conan, Plastic Man, Ghost Rider, Nightcrawler, Rocket. They're going to fall down my table here. And we've got yesterday's Kraven the Hunter. So, with that said, this is going to be filling in number 11, and Hulk will make number 12 for that first wave series. Next up, just to give you guys a sneak peek, I've got a Catwoman and Poison Ivy and Batgirl following for the next few days after the Hulk. Just to let you guys know what's going to come up, so you'll be able to vote for which one you want. And be sure to watch the timeline, put in your vote so you can get your favorite card seen, and put in any suggestions or whatever you guys have to say, because I love to hear feedback from you guys, and it's always cool. So, talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye.